What's up, everybody? So today we're back in the garage working on the Civic once again. In the last video you guys saw, we managed to get the transmission put in, so now the car is technically manual. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done before we complete that. We still need the wiring harness, the CV axles, shift linkage, and some stuff done in the interior. But before we get to that, we need to fix one thing on here, which is the valve cover gasket. It's leaking really bad. I saw a bunch of oil like on the side of the block down there. We could see it kind of on the oil pan, which is kind of running down the backside, just collecting. And I figured let's go and fix that, get that out of the way now because everything's out of here. There's no wire harness up here. So in order to get this all out, we just got to remove these few 10mm bolts, each one of these coil packs, pop all those out, the dipstick. So once that's out, we can go ahead, replace the valve cover gasket and put the valve cover back on. But I figure since we're gonna have it out, we might as well paint it just to freshen up this engine bay, make it look much cleaner and nicer. I have a color picked out, which I think I kind of mentioned in the last video. We did. But you guys will see, we're going to go ahead, clean this all up, repaint it, put it back in the car, and then we can continue on with the manual swap. Valve cover is off now. Everything looks to be in pretty good shape, nice and clean. If I go to do this, put it back on, I think I'm gonna take off this bracket just because it was kind of in the way when we took it off. It was getting hooked on the edge over here, but we just know for now, and hopefully it lets you guys know too. So next up, I think we're gonna go ahead, mess with the valve cover. It needs to get cleaned up and ready to be painted.
It's gonna stink.
Yeah, it's gonna smell real bad. We're gonna be using some aircraft strippers, so it's gonna be a little bit of a mess. Alright, well, we went ahead, we moved outside, we got our valve cover set up here in the box, ready to go. Luke and I went ahead, popped out all the gaskets, so there is no longer a valve cover gasket inside of here, and same thing here. They are all empty, and I guess these ones here are a little bit more of a trick where the coil packs go. You basically have to take a little bit screwdriver, kind of put it down there in the corner, push against it, and then take a hammer and just kind of tap, and it'll eventually pop out. So we got that out now, that's all ready to go. Everything's set up here. You're currently over here mixing up the aircraft stripper because that'll take off all the paint and all the oil and everything here. This stuff here is pretty nasty. That's why we got the gloves, the respirators. I got my safety glasses there because I don't want this anywhere on me at all because it's nasty. The last time you and I did this was on the, I guess, your truck. And that stuff, if it gets on your skin, it burns, it stinks, it's awful. So we have it all set up, ready to go. Looks like you got it all done and mixed up. So we're gonna go ahead and start applying the aircraft stripper on it now. Alright, we're going to let that set up for a little bit. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I got my mask on, but you can already see it starting to react a little bit in some of these spots. So we'll give it, no, I didn't get any on me. I wish you guys can hear this. Oh, that's a better, now the air conditioner set up. But you can actually hear it like popping and crackling and the paint starting to lift.
I don't know if you want to move them over here, but it's
completely
coming apart.
Look at that bottom half right there. That's crazy. We're going to let this set up for like, I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes. And then it should just all wipe off. We're going to have to make sure to go over top of this with a like some kind of water or something to kind of kill it off. So we're gonna have to set for a little while. We'll let you guys kind of sit up here and watch it, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now you guys can see we had to add another coat of that aircraft stripper to it because it didn't quite get enough off. It kind of scraped it off a little bit, but not down to a point where we're ready to actually paint it. So we're going to let this set up for another 15 minutes, and with that time, I think we're going to go ahead and throw in the new axles and put the exhaust back on, which we'll go ahead and show you guys here. Alright, so here we are in the garage. Last time you guys saw, we had that axle there, which I said was all just nasty and broken and wouldn't work out. And then this was the automatic one, and then this was the passenger side automatic one. So you can see that this one here is a little bit shorter than what the manual one was. We went ahead, disassembled it just to see the exact size, that we got the correct part, and we ended up running over to AutoZone initially, and they gave us the part, but it ended up being the wrong one. I don't know why, they always like screw up every time I go in there. but we ended up going to O'Reilly's instead, and they had the part that we needed. So here is the new axle for the driver's side. I'll show it to you guys here. I went ahead, opened it up, checked it all out. So it should be good. We'll go ahead and throw this on and then put the passenger side, that smaller one, that's the automatic one, because it should work along with this. And we'll go ahead and bolt on the exhaust and have that. So that's all set up and done. All right, so we managed to get the axles put in. That took a little bit longer than what we expected to take. We kind of been going back and forth, checking on the valve cover while it kind of cures up with that aircraft stripper. It's not really doing the best of job as I hope it would have. I mean, I don't know if it's just because it's an old container or whatever. Yeah. We'll show you guys here in a second. But we managed to get, like I said, both axles in now. The driver's side was much easier. I don't know if it's just because it's like a new part, whereas the passenger side has like the little clips on the end of them, like little lock rings or whatever. This side was much more looser. So luckily, I had like these two spares here, have new lock rings on them. These, I guess I can show you guys what I'm talking about. But this right here, this little ring there. The one that was on there we were trying to put on was too loose, so it just kept slipping. We weren't able to tighten it up or anything. So I just took one of these off, swapped it onto that one, and it slid in place, and now it's locked in. As you guys can see here, we got the nut on. The axles are put in. Pretty simple. Same way as we took it out, just reverse order. You got to kind of like shove it in. But now that's all done and completed. Next up will be exhaust, but we're going to wait and do that because I want to go outside and show you guys the valve cover in its current state. Okay, so here's the valve cover now that we have it all completed. We went ahead, rinsed all the aircraft stripper off. You can see the paint was like starting to flake, or I guess this might be like more of a powder coat. I'm not really sure, but you can kind of see right there. It doesn't really want to come off too easily. Like I said, I don't know if the aircraft stripper was any good, if it was like past the shelf life or whatever, but it got a majority of the stuff off here. So we're gonna go ahead, just sand it all down and prime it, paint it, and clear it. So we'll go ahead and jump into that now and then bring you guys back when it's all done. Well, I just got done prepping up the valve cover. It is completely done now. We got it all sanded down. It is masked off. I can go and show you guys here. Everything's ready to go. It's not perfect by any means, but I think it'll work. The coating they use from the factory, I'm not really sure what it is, but it kind of has a hard time coming off of there. The aircraft stripper did okay, but it didn't really take off too much of it. And some of the spots here, I was wondering what they were. Like you guys can see, like inside there or down here at the bottom, it has a little bit of like rough texture to it. I thought it was the paint, but once I start sanding down even further, I noticed it was kind of corrosion. And you can really see it here on the back side. Right there, you guys can see that, I hope. But I just noticed that, I don't know if it's just like common with the EM2s to have the valve covers kind of rust or corrode or whatever, since it is aluminum. I kind of noticed it on the black EM2 when we were tearing that one down as well. It also had a bad little spot there. So not really much I can do with it. I noticed it's not leaking or anything in there. It's not like got a big hole or anything. It's just kind of on the back side of it, which luckily it is on the back side. You're not gonna be able to see it. So I think we'll go ahead, move this outside, set you guys up on like a piece of cardboard or whatever, and start spraying it. Okay, so here is our three colors we have here. I have the primer for our base. Then we're gonna go with gold. It's gonna match the calipers that we sprayed a while back ago, and then we have the gloss clear. So let's go ahead and jump into this and start spraying it. Alright, so I just managed to get the last coat of clear coat on this thing. This looks so much better than what it did. That gold looks so nice. I can't wait to get this in the car, but we have to wait, I think it's like 3 hours or so before this is completely dry and we can actually touch it and handle it. So we're going to let this set here for a little while. I think you and I are going to go in the garage. We ended up putting the axles in, which you guys saw. I think we're going to go ahead, move on, do exhaust, and maybe put in some shift linkage. And we should be done with the engine bay for now. We still need to do like the wiring harness and stuff. We can't do that until this is back in. Well, it's been like 3 hours now. We've been waiting for the valve cover to dry. According to the can, it said it took a full 3 hours before we could actually reassemble this. but I just went over and touched it, went ahead, unmasked it and everything, and it's still pretty tacky. So I don't think we're gonna be putting that on today. We'll come back tomorrow morning and put it back on, but I can show you guys here. Here is the valve cover. It turned out pretty good, but yeah, it's still just a little bit tacky. I don't want to push into it or anything. But yeah, after everything's all unmasked here, you guys can kind of see it. Looks really good. We went ahead and moved it inside because I don't want to set it outside. In the meantime, while Luke and I were waiting for that to dry, we went ahead, we did a little bit more work to the Civic. You guys saw we did the axles, and we ended up getting the exhaust put on as well as the shift linkage. So now all that is prepped up, ready to go. We still need to do the shift linkage inside the cab and have that all done. So we're going to go ahead, take a break, come back in the morning, and finish this off, and hopefully that valve cover is completely dry. So we will see you guys here in a bit. Alright, so it is the next day. We went ahead, let the valve cover set up overnight. Everything should be good with it. I've already went over there and kind of messed with it. It's fully cured up, so we should be able to handle it. Next step up is to go ahead and install our whole valve cover kit. This is the one I ended up picking up. It's Felpro. Should be fine. I've seen other people use these, so I don't think they have any issues with it. But yeah, it's got the new gasket, the new coil pack seals, and each one of the bolts have a new gasket for them as well. So let's continue on and go ahead and put the valve cover on. So now we got the gasket all installed. It's all ready to go. We went ahead, got each one of these in like you guys saw, as well as this here. So this is set up. Next up, we need to go ahead and do the bolts for it, because each one of those has a little grommet too, which you guys can see down here. Here is the old ones, so we need to replace them with this. In order to do this, you need to go ahead, slide these down, and then cut out this gasket, and then these should be able to slide right in place. So now we have the gasket all done and in place, got the bolts all put together. We can go ahead, throw it back on, but before we do that, we need to go ahead and seal these pieces here. So I got this Loctite instant gasket stuff here. You can also use the RTV stuff. I think they sell it at AutoZone, which, I don't know, this stuff I've used quite a few times. I like it, so we're gonna go ahead and use that. Like I said, just kind of put a little bead between each area here and here just to seal it all in, just because the gasket may not seal completely because it has like these little corners here. So let's go ahead and do that. So there you guys have it. We got the valve cover on. That thing looks sick on there. It's completely crushed down flat, so it shouldn't have any leaks. You can kind of see the blue gasket sticking out there. The RTV should help seal it as well and hold the gasket in place. We won't really know if there's any leaks or anything without starting the car, which we can't do just yet. So we need to finish this up. Go ahead and throw in our coil packs here, our oil cap there, our dipstick, and go ahead and hook some of this stuff back up here on the back side. I took a couple of these brackets off just to make sure to be a little bit easier and not scratch up the valve cover now that it is nice and fresh and painted. So let's go ahead and keep doing that. Oh, and one other thing, these coil packs, they did come with new gaskets, you guys can see right there. You just slide them off and slide the new ones on, so it's pretty easy. So there you guys have it. We got the valve cover all done. I think the thing turned out sick. I love the way this looks. I know we're not going to really see it too well underneath the hood. You'll probably see more of like this front section. There's still that Honda cover that needs to go over here, and the wiring harness kind of drapes over, so it's kind of hidden, but it's a nice little touch. It adds to the engine bay. It also matches my brakes because I got the gold calipers down there, so it's kind of going like a red, gold, black theme, I guess. And We still got a little bit more to do with this car. Like I said, we won't really know if this has a leak until we actually start it up. And I can't do that until I finish off this manual swap. And now that we have this done, we can go and continue on with that manual swap. Next up will be the wiring harness, so stay tuned. That should probably be the next video. That'll be quite a bit of work on its own, just because we got to run it through the firewall, hook up the ECU, get that all done, and then we'll keep going from there. We managed to get quite a bit of stuff done in this video. We got the CV axles installed, we got the exhaust done. So all that stuff is completed. We can go and throw the wheels and tires back on this thing, put it on the ground for the next video, start doing the wiring harness, and then we can move inside the car, do the interior stuff like the shifter, the clutch pedal, the slave cylinder, the master cylinder, all that stuff, because we're probably going to need to drill a hole out for that back firewall to put in the master cylinder. So stay tuned for that in the next video. But otherwise, if you guys like the way the valve cover turned out, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, we got plenty more stuff coming, especially with this whole manual swap. I can't wait to start driving this thing, and I will see you guys in the next one.